And welcome back to the Section 111 podcast. I'm your host, TJ Shoemaker, and today I'm joined by former Laney College wide receiver and star of Netflix's Last Chance U, RJ Stern. RJ, man, how's it going?
Hey, I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's so good to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. RJ, so I just want to kind of start out by just getting to know you a little bit, let the listeners get to know you a little bit, and, kind of talk about your background and, like just find out where you grew up and, your high school playing career and the recruiting process during your high school days.
Absolutely. So I grew up all over California. I spent most of my time in the Bay Area, but I've been in Southern California. I've been in Sassoon, Fairfield. I've been as far north as Truckee. I've spent time in Nevada. So, but in 18 years, I lived in 6 different houses. So I moved around a lot, which was difficult, and because it's hard to keep friends that way because you're constantly like leaving and meeting people and then leaving and then moving right after. And so that was kind of difficult. But as far as I started playing football in the 8th grade. And I just showed up one day I convinced me and my brother, James, we had convinced our mom to sign us up for the Richmond Eagles Pop Warner team. And we practiced at Richmond High every day. And it was, so we'd ride this bus. We'd ride 2 different buses to get to practice every day. And we'd get home at like 9:00 at night. But yeah, that's when I started playing football. And I was doing things that not everyone else was doing. I was a little bit faster. I was a little bit stronger. I was a little bit quicker. Had better ball skills than a lot of kids just naturally. And so I kind of felt like, okay, like maybe there's something here. And then, high school came and I was playing with the big boys and I made varsity as a freshman. And that sounds really impressive, but honestly, I was undersized and I got hurt a lot. So I demoted myself to get more playing time. But just being able to compete with those guys and run with them and make plays. I was going up one hand in Boston guys, who are 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
So that's when I realized okay, there's something here for me as far as football goes. I can really play. I can play ball, but I had a little bit of I wasn't a very hard worker in high school. I kind of felt like my talent would carry me. And I was wrong about that, just dead wrong. So I had decent high school tape, but I had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know how to send my film out. Didn't know who to talk to. Didn't know what tests to take for the SAT, ACT, nothing. And so I didn't get recruited in high school at all. I talked to Whittier College once, and they just wanted me to come out and visit. I'm not even sure that it was a real coach. It might have been a bot. I had zero interest from anybody.
Wow.
And so yeah, my community college, I started out I wasn't even being recruited by JUCOs. No one knew who I was. So I went to Contra Costa for a little bit, and they were horrible. I just didn't like the environment. It was too much. It was way too much like my high school. I felt like I was just in high school again, and
Right.
I didn't do anything in high school. Let's just tell the truth. So I was just yeah, I got to get out of here. So I was just okay. One of my best friends is going to go to Laney, to play baseball, and he's actually on the show, Richie. He ended up not going. He ended up going to Sierra College for baseball. But I was okay, Laney's cool. They have a good program. They beat CCC. So hey, let's give them a shot. They're closer. It's way less of a commute for me. It'll be easy. So I get there, show up, and I just, put my head down, worked hard, and then when I got told no, that Coach Beam was not. I don't know how you get. I hope you can edit this out. But he was not fucking with me. He was not fucking with me at all. He knew I could run and he knew I could catch, but he was not messing with me, man. It was going to take a lot more from me to show him that I belonged on the team. But
Yeah.
I wound up making the team, but I struggled because my football IQ was super low. So I didn't understand coverages. I didn't understand scheme. I didn't understand just simple stuff. And so it took me a little longer to figure out the offense and to learn it. But once I did, and once I really I just engulfed myself in everything, that's when I was able to start, so, and that's pretty much what's carried me through all this, man. Is just, that's pretty much basically how this all started for me. Just like,
Wow.
the basic backstory. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's super interesting. I had no idea about that about you. Even watching the show, you don't get those little details and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So you really didn't know much about Laney, or did they know much about you? Like, how did it even come about? Like, as far as I know, you said like your friend was going to go there, but like, how did you get on the football team in the first place? Like, who did you talk to? Like, just go through that
Oh,
process.
yeah. Yeah, man. So as soon as I decided I was going to go to Laney, I was just like, okay, well, I at least want to talk to a coach. So I was able to get in contact with Coach Ramos, and all he said was, "Hey, come down, field house, 1 o'clock, Monday." That was it. That's all he said to me.
Oh my
You know, that's how his text read. So I was like, okay, I'll see you Monday. And I showed up and I talked to Coach Beam about getting enrolled in classes. And it just went from there. But like I could tell from the moment I walked in the door, I made the right decision. I could just feel it. There was just something so like, I don't know, man. It was just like, it was powerful for me. Like I was just in a new, like I could tell that I was in a room where people were like, they wanted to play ball. And like I wanted to prove not only to people, but to myself that, that I belonged. And so yeah, man, like they literally had no idea who I was. Like, and Ramos thought I was gonna play corner. I was like,
Oh wow!
yeah,
So he didn't even know your position or anything.
no, he
Wow,
had no
wow.
idea. I mean, I get it. Like I actually had really good high school film of me playing corner and safety. I was actually really good at it. Especially for someone who doesn't understand football. Like
Right, right.
but yeah, man. So I just showed up one day and just they couldn't get rid of me.
Let's just kind of fast forward a little bit to your time at Laney, and let's talk about the challenges that you faced at Laney personally, and then tell us about the everyday life for a JUCO player in Oakland, California.
Absolutely. So for me, so I'll preface this. So California junior college football, you have no scholarships because for whatever reason the California just isn't cool with that. So there's no scholarships, there's no dorms, there's no meal plan, there's nothing. So if you're an out-of-state kid, you're gonna go into debt. You're gonna easily go like $15,000 into debt just for basic stuff. So there's that. I was lucky enough, or I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it. I look at it as like I was lucky enough to just have a roof over my head, but I wound up at some extended family's house in Berkeley. So they didn't charge me a lot in the way of rent. So, great. That was awesome. But, I didn't have a car. There were days where, I didn't eat or I didn't eat much. So like I would get up every morning at like, 5 or 6 in the morning, walk to the BART station, BART all the way to school, go to class, go to practice, and then rinse and repeat. But it's tough because junior college, especially in California, it really feels like you're going there to like it's like a black hole. It's like quicksand. Like you don't know if you're going to get out of it or not. Like it feels very up in the air because you don't see a lot of Division I coaches out there all the time. You don't have a lot of Division I coaches talking to you, and it's just like it's so hard because on top of having to worry about money, when your next meal is going to be, where are you going to sleep, you have to worry about, am I going to make this team? Am I going to get playing time? Is this even worth my time? Like, am I making the right decision? And so like like you have to be a really different kind of guy to play junior college football in California in particular.
Oh,
I hate
sure.
when guys, yeah, like, I mean, maybe this is messed up. Like anybody who goes the JUCO route, I have all the respect in the world for you, especially if you
Right.
see it out to the end.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody who went JUCO ball in the Midwest, where they have dorms, where they have scholarships, where they have meal plans, I guarantee you about 50 to 60% of those guys wouldn't make it in California. They wouldn't make it. Okay, so it's different out here just based off of your living circumstances. And so me personally, like I've had different obstacles. So like my time at Laney, for me, it was at first it was I wasn't very good with my playbook. I wasn't very football savvy, and then on top of that, I wasn't very comfortable where I was living. And then after that, it was okay. Now I know the playbook. now I need to become a better receiver. And so like one thing I used to struggle with was like route running. Like I wasn't a great route runner, but now a lot different. So it's just like little obstacles here and there that I just have to like get through and overcome. So like first it was know your playbook. Then it was become a better route runner. Then it was become then it was get through this injury. So like the big thing for me that helped me back at Laney was injuries. So like in 2018, that was supposed to be a big year for me. It was supposed to be my sophomore season. I was considered our number one, number two receiver. I was doing good things. But for some reason I just like towards the beginning of the season I couldn't turn it on. I'd basically like I burned myself out. Just trying to get better, but like I was just doing all the wrong things, and then I wound up getting hurt week 3. I laid out for a ball and sprained my neck, had a concussion, and then I wound up with this really high grade sports hernia, which is basically just a tear in your abdominal muscle.
Yeah,
and I still have it. I played through it. Not that season. It took me out for the rest of the year, but it ripped directly off of the pelvic bone. So that doesn't go away. Muscle doesn't attach back to bone. And so I went through 10 months of trying to get better, and I didn't know if I was going to play ball again. I was in a really dark place. I was like, it was tough, bro. And then like when I was finally cleared to play ball, I was so rusty. Like Beam wanted nothing
I'm sure.
Yeah, Beam wanted nothing to do with me, man. I wasn't getting first team reps. I wasn't getting anything. He was just, I would make a big play and he would kick me out. Or he'd be like, "Why was RJ in there? Get his ass out of there." And I get it, man. He was probably just worried that I was going to hurt myself because I think he knew I wasn't 100%. So that's fine. But like it was just a struggle to like get back into the lineup and earn that starting job. Again for the third time.
Right.
It was difficult.
Yeah.
But I made it happen, man. I think I thrive in those kinds of situations where it's do or die. Because I mean, it was literally do or die. It was like either you get healthy and get better really quickly, or you're done playing football.
Right.
So it's sink or swim, right? So I swam, and so that's just a little bit about what it was like. My Laney college experience, just struggling with the playbook and then injuries, just all kinds of like these uphill battles with like myself essentially. So it was rough, but I think it made me a better player and a better person.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. And, anyone who watched the show probably already knows this, but anyone listening who hasn't watched the show knows that, you guys had guys on your football team that were sleeping in their cars and, the struggle was real out there. So, obviously you were a little bit more fortunate than some, but I mean,
sure,
it sounds like it was still a daily grind, even for
absolutely
the most fortunate. So I can't imagine, guys like Dior and anyone else that was sleeping in their car and had that burden on their shoulders every single day. So
yeah, absolutely. Like Dior's, like I just can't say how much respect I have for Dior, dude. I mean, because like he's just like people can't do that. People can't. He was sleeping in his car for a really long time. People cannot just do that.
No.
And so like I just think about it. It's just like crazy to me. Just to like I just have so much respect for the guy. Like I just like I wouldn't want to do that. So just hats off to him. But like a lot of my personal issues were more psychological than they were like. Well, they were psychological and physical, but like a lot of my stuff is more psychological and just like state of mind and like just like either I'm too hard on myself or I'm not like doing really what I should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's been a lot of my problems. Like I try not to take my living situation or circumstances or things that have happened to me and use that as a way out, a way to say like, oh, this is why I didn't do this. Right. I don't want to be that guy that blames the things that happened to him, who blames circumstances on why he wasn't successful. So I just ignored it. Like I always like, even if I was having the worst day ever, I just found a way to say, shut up and just go, bro. Like it's not an excuse. So like that was like the majority of my issues especially for 2019 in particular.
Let's kind of talk about the show a little bit. I mean, that's how you're most known nowadays. But
Yeah.
after watching the show, were you pleased by the way that you were perceived, and what attributes, both personally and athletically, do you feel like the show really shined a positive light on?
Yeah. So, it's funny, man. The show dropped, and man, I was supposed to go to work that next morning. Supposed to get up at 4 a.m. to go to work.
I bet you called off.
You damn right I called off, man. The show dropped at midnight, and I was watching it, and I was like, "This is so cool."
Yeah.
And initially, my gut reaction was, "Damn, I kind of don't like the way I come off." So like, I think the Last Chance U crew did a great job of like representing everybody. Because I think if you really pay attention to the show, like you really pay attention to it, they were really telling a story, like, but they're telling two sides of a story. So like they present it in a very, very accurate, honest way. But for me personally, I didn't like some of the things I said. And part of it is like a lot of like, obviously I'm talking about the Beam stuff, like just the disrespect towards him. Like a lot of that was like their sound bites, and they're all from about a week and a half of practice. And I never said it on camera, but I was mic'd up.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're not gonna not use that because I wasn't like I was speaking how I felt, but I wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't just trying to like do it for clout or anything. But anyway, I was happy with the overall like reception and representation that I was given. I think most people like watch the show and go, okay, like he just wants respect and he's a baller. Like we get it. And like they're right. So I've gotten pretty much like nothing but positive feedback and love and support from pretty like literally everybody all over the world. So it's been awesome, man. It's just a crazy, humbling experience. It's been really dope.
Yeah. What's the social media been like since this dropped?
All right, dude. So like the show, so I had 1,300 followers roughly before the show aired.
Mm-hmm.
I now have 30K, like 30,000 people on Instagram.
Oh man, that's crazy.
And like it is crazy. Like I'm not even like it's not even the most like out of everybody, but like it's just crazy how quickly it popped off. Like there was one point where I was gaining like 1,500 to 200 to 2,000 followers a day.
Wow.
A day. That went on for 2 weeks straight. So it's been wild, man. Like, and then my inbox is like basically broken, like on Twitter and Instagram. Like I have to like on Twitter, I have to be careful. Like I have to really go through to see if like coaches are messaging me.
Yeah,
because I get so many. But Twitter's cool because they actually have it. Like you'll only see messages for people who you follow back. But like I still get like the notifications every now and then, and it's like it's just always blowing up. But like Instagram is like I literally can't see anything. Like it's just every day still.
Yeah, I mean, I was so surprised, like when you hit me back so soon, like after I hit you up about coming on the podcast. I mean, I swear it was probably within like 15 minutes, and I'm like, I was amazed by that. So I mean, thanks for getting back to me so quickly, and even agreeing
Absolutely.
to come on. I really appreciate your time.
Oh yeah, of course, man. It's actually like it's almost like you got lucky because it's like a lottery. Because I get a lot of requests to do podcasts, and like if I agree to do them all, I would have no time to do anything else because
I'm sure.
I get a lot of them, and so like it's really like whenever I go through the like you just happened your message was just right at the top, and I was like, oh, okay, let me check it out, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Like why not? This guy wants to have me on a show, give me a platform, like that's dope. So yeah, I was like, it's no problem, man. Like I just thinking of it like I'm just a regular guy. Like, it's cool to like the people that you want to talk to me or that anybody wants to talk to me. So,
and it's funny that you say that because like, I mean, you were kind of like an overnight sensation essentially, but like, watching the show and everything, like, I think I told you this in the first DM that I sent you was like, watching the show, I thought you were just a genuine dude, and like I like the way you carried yourself. Like even some of those sound bites, that you were talking about, where you were like basically saying like "fuck Beam" and all this stuff. Like no, I didn't think anything of that because I know that there's definitely probably a mutual respect between you two, and like being I mean, I wouldn't call myself an athlete, but having an athletic background, like I understand stuff like that. So
Yeah, and you know what? So does Beam. Like, so and they don't show this in the show, but like there was a day where it was particularly bad. But I walked up to him the next day at practice, like a little bit before we really got rolling, and I apologized, man. But they left that out, which is fine. I don't even. They might not have even been near, but like I walked up to him and I apologized, and me and him have become like closer since the show's come out. So like,
Mm-hmm.
there's like no animosity. Like it's just nothing but love. So like it is like at the end of the day, it is football. So you know what I mean?
Right, right, and he's probably my favorite coach that's been on any of the Last Chance U seasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he seems very genuine too, and like he genuinely cares about his players, and he
Yeah.
really seems like he wants better for them. Some of those other coaches, like I mean, I'm all about winning too. I'm probably as competitive as it gets, but
Absolutely.
those other coaches were just, I mean, all about winning and trying to like fight the refs and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, I
or not
hate it.
even refs, just people on the sideline.
It's
Um,
pathetic, bro. It's so childish. Like,
yeah,
and like I'm not doing this for like, I don't want to start nothing because it's really not that deep. But like, I'll say this about Beam. Like, Beam's not going to get on Twitter and respond to dudes who are trying to troll. Or like I always see, a certain coach hop on Twitter replying to these random fools as if it's like you could
yeah,
tell he's upset about it. It's like, bro,
yeah, yeah.
you're like first, it's pathetic. But like Beam, like I get why guys call him, and like I get why guys pick up the phone for him 10 years down the line after them playing for him. I really get it because he does care about you. He calls you, he checks up on you, sees how you're doing. He asks, like he genuinely cares. He loves all his players. So like I get it, man. He's an excellent coach, and like winning is important, but like he's worried about like who are you going to turn into like as a man? Like did he do his job on that front? And I think that's what really sets him apart from all the other Last Chance U coaches. So like he's my favorite coach, but obviously I'm biased.
Yeah, you got a little bias, but I mean,
Yeah,
I have no dog in the fight, and I'll go ahead and say that he's definitely my favorite. So,
yeah, absolutely.
but
People are always surprised to hear me speak so highly of Beam on these things. It's kind of funny.
really, really,
Yeah, not everybody. Well, yeah, not everybody expects me to like have this positive, just because of how the show like how I am on the show.
right.
So yeah, I don't know. It just popped into my head. I was like,
So let's talk about life after the show. I mean, we talked about your social media and stuff like that, but
absolutely.
talk about your communication with Division 1 or Division 2 schools since the show dropped, and let us know if there's any offers that have came along the way or anything like that.
Absolutely. So it's weird, man. Like after the show dropped, I had all kinds of people reach out to me, whether it was schools or coaches or recruiting coordinators who were offering their help. And a guy in particular, I don't want to say his name because I don't think it's wrong. But
You don't have to. You don't have
anyway,
to.
yeah, I don't know what the rules are, but he reached out to me and he got me connected with a bunch of schools, and I wound up getting connected with no less than a dozen Division 1 schools.
Wow.
So like all telling me like you belong Division 1 level, you can play Division 1 ball. The frustrating part was because of all this COVID stuff, them not knowing what their roster needs are going to look like until later on in the year, which is really tough for me because in order for me to get this extra year back of eligibility, I have to be enrolled. I have to at least be accepted into a school. Like that has to be where I'm going. Excuse me. Otherwise, I'm SOL. Like I might not get that year back. And so that's the only negative thing. But like, been talking to a bunch of schools. Had a couple Division 2 guys. A couple Division 2 schools offer me. Missouri S&T was one of them. They actually gave me a great offer. I didn't accept it just based off the fact that they wanted me to come in during the fall, get enrolled in classes, do all that stuff, and I just wasn't ready to take that step. I had just gotten back from Tennessee, not a lot of money. I didn't really want to get in my car and drive halfway across the country.
Right. Yeah.
And it just felt like it was too soon for me personally. I felt like I needed to wait it out. And yeah, because it's like I don't want to be in Missouri not playing football for you know what I mean. So, but they gave me a great opportunity. It wasn't the right one for me. But yeah, just
So I did kind of read that you did commit to a school in Tennessee. Talk about that for a minute. Just what happened with that, why you backed out, and
yeah. So initially I committed there with my buddy Richie. He's there on a baseball scholarship. Got me connected with the football coaches there. And it was cool. It seemed like a good situation, but for me, I didn't realize the kind of toll it was going to take on me to uproot from California in June and move to Tennessee. And I had a hunch way back in June that we weren't going to be playing football. I don't know what it was. It's not. I wasn't like, and like I'm just RJ Stern at the time. No one cares about me. So like I'm not talking to like anybody. No, I don't have this. I don't have any insiders. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So I just had this feeling like, yeah, I don't think college football is going to happen. And so I kept that in mind. I was like, I'm not really happy out here. And then, no disrespect to Tusculum, but that just wasn't. It just wasn't where I saw myself playing ball. That's all I'll say about that.
Okay.
Have all the respect in the world for Coach Odom and Coach K. Bell, all those guys, great coaches. Sure, they're gonna do great things while they're there.
Right.
But for me personally, I wasn't feeling it. Didn't like the vibe. So that's all I'll say on air.
Okay.
I was just like all things taken into account, like no football, not really feeling it here. Why stay in Tennessee without football? Why? Like I could have stuck it out if we were gonna play ball. I probably would have actually. I would have, because I was gonna go there. I was probably gonna be one of their best players. And it's not like they're scrubs, but it's just like it would have been a cool situation for me. But I don't want to be in Tennessee for over a year and a half not playing any football. I just don't want to do that.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Being in a environment that you're not familiar with, and not even getting to do what you want, what you love to do. I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, and I mean, there's more to the story, but like that is the basis of why I didn't stay. So it was purely a business decision. It's just like I feel like I could do better, and there's more time than I thought there was, and it just wasn't right for me. So
Right.
backed out of it, got out of it. It was all good. There's no love lost there on any front. It's just, so that's what happened with it, man.
Okay. So with these schools that have reached out to you, like, what is your sales pitch to them whenever they reach out to you? Say, like, they let them know that they're a little bit interested, but want to know more about you. Like, what are you telling the recruiters? You kind of put your recruiting cap on for a minute, and what are you telling them as to why you belong at that school?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's tough because recruiters, like, you ever heard the saying, you can't bullshit a bullshitter?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So I'm never going to sit there and tell a coach, like, you need me. You
Right.
have to have me. Or a recruiter, like, you have to have me. It's like, I like to let my actions do the talking for me. So, like, my sales pitch to a coach or a recruiter is, one, my character. Or number one, my character. Secondly, my grades. Thirdly, my highlight tape. And then you can take a look at my numbers and all that stuff. But really, I think the biggest thing that has been, I think what's been my biggest advocate in recruiting is the show. Because there's a lot of things that you can't coach, a lot of intangibles. So like work ethic, drive, passion, that you can't see on a highlight tape or
Right.
get from a Twitter conversation or maybe even a phone call. You have to see it. And that show gave me a platform to show it how much I care about football. It's my everything. I really that's what I live for. And so I think that was actually I think that's my biggest mouthpiece to recruiters and coaches at the moment is them seeing how badly I want to play ball and how willing I am to work. And it's not just that. It's not like I'm a scrub. Like I can play ball. You can ask anybody on our roster. You can ask Ray, you can ask you or any of those guys. Like they'll tell you. I can really ball. And so like I think all those things taken into account, coaches are like, okay, like, yeah, like, why not? It's just a matter of like, do they have money left for my class? Do they have space? Do they have need? And there's a couple of things that are promising, but it's a little late in the year. So it's just like, I don't know. So we'll see what happens like school wise. It's just tough. Like I'm going to have to make a decision pretty soon here though. Cause like I need that extra year back. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, do you have like a dream school, and if so, like what school is that? Like, are you waiting on a particular offer?
Cal. Cal,
Is there
University of
any
Berkeley.
particular reason for that? I mean, just is it the prestige of the academics, or what is it?
It's a little bit of everything, man. It's nostalgic for me. Like I grew up, one of the first college football teams I ever saw play on TV was Cal. Aaron Rodgers went there, Deshaun Jackson went there, Marshawn Lynch went there, and I was a big Djax fan back in the day because he was fast.
I was gonna ask you that. I mean, I feel like you guys probably resemble each other a little bit.
A little bit,
fast, twitchy guys. Like, you
yeah,
know,
yeah. So like, I just kind of fell in love with like their thing, and then I really looked up to Javid Best, um, who was a running back out of Salesian High School.
mm-hmm.
Great athlete. I just love the colors. I loved the nostalgia. I just loved the environment, the feel, and just felt right. Everything about it just was like, yeah, like nostalgic. It's just like a dream. And so that's where I've always wanted to play my college football at. And it felt like that dream was coming to fruition. It's coming to full circle because, I was talking to the wide receivers coach, and it kind of seemed like they were going to give me a shot. But, it's tough because, they have 19 receivers on the roster. I think now they're down to 15. Still a lot of receivers,
Right? Yeah.
a lot of guys that they promised play time that they're giving money to. So if I were to walk on, my walking on might make two guys leave. You never know. So
yeah,
there's
for sure.
there's a lot of politics that coaches have to look through, and like I got good grades, man. So it's not an issue of me getting into school. It's an issue of like, do they want me to come out there and walk on collectively? And so I haven't heard from them in a while. So it's disappointing, but what's meant for you will always be there for you to have. So it's all love between us, between me and Coach Toller at the end of the day, because he's a good guy. But we'll see, man. I just really want to go where I'm wanted.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, wherever you end up, I wish you the best, and I hope that Cal offer does come in, or at least maybe like a preferred walk on. That
Yeah.
I want them to want you. And
Yeah, me too.
so
Yeah.
I mean, how would you say that this show has changed your life?
I mean, before I was only getting recognized every once in a while. No, I'm just kidding. No, so like the biggest thing is like I get stopped all the time in public. It's like, are you RJ Stern? Oh my God, bro, I love you on Last Chance U. Like people want pictures with me. It's really dope, honestly. Like, and then like social media is like, because like people think that like guys who blow up and like have all these followers on Instagram and all this stuff, like they're just like somehow like different from them. And it's like, no, we just have a little more attention on ourselves than others. Like, so people think I don't read their messages.
Mm-hmm.
I don't respond just because I know if I do, a lot of people will like overdo it. Like there have been people who I've responded to, and like they kind of just, it's too much. Like they kind of just keep replying.
Right. Yeah.
No,
I get it. I get it.
And it's like, look, man, like it's really cool and stuff, but like I don't know you, and like I have other things to do, and I'm sorry, and like I don't want to hurt people's feelings. So
yeah, you get random messages from like 40-year-old dudes like, "Hey man, what you doing?" Like like
yeah.
just pointless stuff. Like, dude,
Sometimes.
I don't have time to chat.
Yeah, and I don't want to either, even if I did have the time. No, I mean, what's really cool for me is like I get all kinds of messages from these kids all around the world telling me how my story inspires them and how like they respect me, and like how I've gone about like continuing to chase football, even though I've been told at every step of the way no, and I've just haven't taken that as an answer. And so like it's really cool to see kids looking up to me, because like that's truthfully like the number one thing I've always wanted to do in life. I believe that, and this is a quote from Will Smith, I believe that if you're not making someone else's life better, then you're wasting your time. And I heard Will Smith say that when I was a young kid. Like that resonated with me. And so like for me to like be able to be in this position and people looking up to me and like reaching out to me and sharing their stories with me, that is life changing, because it's like you've helped them in a way that you could have never possibly imagined. And so it's just empowering, and it's humbling, because you realize like how small you are in the world, like how many more people are out there just like you who are going through a similar thing, who just needed to hear your story, maybe even just one piece of your story to keep going. So like that for me has changed my life. Like it's just awesome, dude. It's all I ever could have hoped to have come out of the show.
Right.
Truthfully.
I mean, I've kind of thought about this, like with with every season of Last Chance U that's come out. They always have the featured players, such as yourself, and then in other seasons they've had players that have come from bigger schools and stuff like that. But I guess my point is like it's like who's the next RJ Stern? There's 1,000 of you out there. Like they literally just need to be discovered, like you were.
Yeah.
So it's like hearing your stories and seeing your success, that might be enough to keep them going to the point to where they do get that break and get the recognition that they need. So, I mean,
Yeah.
what you're doing, and how active you are on social media, and you and podcasting, and you continue to get your story out there. I think it's a great thing, and I think that you are inspiring people to continue striving for whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be athletically, but just in life,
Yeah.
and not giving up. I mean, it's not always sunshines and rainbows, as you know damn well, but
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. One thing that I want to say is like I don't want people to get to the impression that like you don't have to so something like because there are people who hit me up and like just being honest, there are people who hit me up and say that they feel like they're being overlooked and that they're not getting a fair shake. And like so on the show it's kind of I give off the impression that I don't feel like I'm being given a fair shake. But they kind of one thing that I do have a problem with is like they don't kind of show why I feel that way. So like if they had showed like me and Rajon going one-on-ones, me and Ray, that would have changed a lot of people's opinions about me, about what I can do as a baller, and it would have changed it would have given more weight to what I was saying about. So like, because like with the whole like running to the sideline thing,
yeah,
that is such a high school way to look at football. How many guys in the NFL do you see catching verticals in the NFL or in college? On top of the numbers, you don't.
yeah,
It is virtually impossible to not get forced to the sideline even a little bit. Okay, and so like I just had a problem with the way that we were viewing that, but like that's fine, that's whatever. Like we just disagree. It's whatever. So like my point behind this is yes, I wasn't being given a fair shake. And yes, I felt kind of cheated in a way. But I actually feel like I have the right to feel that way. A lot of people, I feel like maybe not a lot. Maybe this is I just want to put it out there like number one thing is you need to be honest with yourself. Like can you actually play football? Like are you actually getting like looked over? Like really? Or are you just not that good? And I don't want to sound like an ass or like a jerk, but like you have to ask yourself those questions. Because when I asked myself those questions, I was like, oh, like that guy's better than me. I gotta work harder. I gotta get on my shit. And that's what made me get to that level to where I was as good as they were. And that's why I was getting playtime. That's why I was eventually starting, right? As a freshman. It wasn't because like, you know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
I just don't want people to like watch my story and go like, yeah, like I'm the next RJ Stern because like I'm not getting a fair shake, but it's all good. I'm gonna cuss my coaches out and it'll be all right for me. It's like, no, like because here's the other thing. I was never that vocal to Beam.
uh-huh.
Like ever. I'm very much, like yes sir, no sir, okay sir, I gotcha kind of guy. Like
right.
I really am. That season was the most I've ever said to that guy. Ever. Like I
And
really like
I'm kind of glad you brought that up, because that was another thing that I meant to tell you. Was that was the one thing that I noticed that stuck out to me more so than anything, was that not that you were saying stuff under your breath or anything like that, but most of the time, probably 99% of the time, anytime he rode your ass, which was a hell of a lot. I mean, you know that, but
yeah.
and I just know it from the show. You know it from everyday life, but
Yeah.
every time he rode your ass on the show, it was always, you were always looking at him saying, yes, sir. Like you were coachable.
Yeah.
You were coachable. And that goes a long way in
Yeah.
itself. That's something that a lot of these kids, I mean, they're everywhere. They're in my area. They're in your area. They're everywhere. A lot of them can't take hard coaching like that. They put their head down. They start pouting. But you, in the show, that was one thing I loved about you. And I mean, a little bit of why I wanted to get you on the show, because I just loved the way you carried yourself in
Appreciate
that
that,
manner.
man.
So yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Like and it's like even though I didn't agree with Beam, I knew that he was just trying to get me better at the end of the day. Because if I
Right.
can beat a guy so bad off the line and restack so well that I'm not getting forced to the sideline ever, at all, never, period, great. Going to the NFL will be super easy. So, like, that's how I always chose to look at it. Even if I disagree with him on some level about something, I realize, like, that his mindset is, I want to get this guy better. And so, like, that's why I never had much of a problem with it. So, like, you just, like, my message is, like, just be honest with yourself and, yeah, and just, like, listen to your coaches, like, just shut up and do it, man, you know? But I don't want people to get the wrong, and I just don't want people to think that, like, you can be a scrub and just, like, oh no, you're just getting looked over. It's like, no, like, can you actually play football? Because I get some messages from guys, and no disrespect, it's just honestly, like, I see kids out there who message me sometimes, and it's like, I feel like we relate. I feel like I relate to your story so much, man. Like, I don't get a lot of play time, and I look at them, they're 5'4" on JV, and it's like, you want to play quarterback, and it's like, man, like, I hate to be that guy, but it's like, you can't control that though, so you can only control, like, certain things, like, how good are you? But, like, some kids just need to hear that, I guess. But if you are honest with yourself and you're like, yeah, I'm not that good, and then you work to, like, getting to that point, like how I had to, you're golden. You're gonna do great things. You're gonna do awesome things.
For sure. Well, you kind of answered my last question with that. I was going to ask you.
Oh,
No, you're good. You're good. I was just going to ask you. Like, what advice would you give to a high school kid that was, maybe somewhat similar to you, and you had said you were a little bit undersized or a little bit raw
sure.
with football IQ or route running, whatever it may be. I mean, but
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
can give you a better answer because this is something I feel very strongly about. So
hmm
I'll
okay, go
give you a
ahead.
better
Yeah.
answer. So, like, my advice to any kid in high school or junior college, just anybody, going through those similar things, is, like, if you want to be successful, if you really want something, first and foremost, you have to really ask yourself, you have to really be willing to put in the kind of time and effort it takes to get to that point. But the number one thing you have to be ready to answer is, do you have the capacity to do it? And so that's what I talk about, being honest with yourself. You need to look yourself in the mirror, look at what you have and what you don't have. If you have enough to the point where it's good enough, but it needs improvement, but there's something there to work with, great. That's the first step. But just all I tell kids is, like, you need to be honest with yourself. Like, are you actually, like, a football player? Like, can you actually play college football? Can you really do it? Because not everybody can do it. Okay? Like, a lot of people can't do it, actually.
I sure as
It's
hell
really
can't.
hard. Yeah, it's super hard. And it's not a slight to anyone. These are the facts, right?
Right.
So number one, be honest with yourself. Number two, get your ass in the weight room. Get your ass in your playbook. Just start finding ways to be better. The number one things you need to be, there are three things you need to be successful in football or just in life in general. One, you need focus. And by the way, you can't have just one or two of these things. You need to have all three. The first one is focus. You need to know where you're going, what you're doing, why you're doing it, when you're doing it, everything. You need to know why, when, how, all of that stuff. You need to know why, number one. And then you need to be able to put the work towards it. You need to be able to work hard. Not just like I don't even know how to explain it, man. I'm getting fired up right now. I'm sorry. Like,
I like the energy, man.
You need to be willing to work, man. Like, so focus and work, right? And then above all else, you need to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you're wasting your time, because you're like, if you don't believe in yourself, who the hell will? And I'll explain why you need all three and you can't just have a couple. If you work really hard and you believe in yourself, but you have no direction, you have no focus, you're a hamster running in a wheel. You're running in circles. You're doing nothing. You're running yourself into the dirt. You're burning out. You're doing what I did at one point in my life. Okay? Can't do that. If you have focus and you work hard, but no passion, no like drive, no want, no need, no nothing. It's like passion and belief in yourself coincide with another. They're similar. So that's why I say passion. Then you clearly don't want to play football that bad, or you don't want to do whatever it is that you're saying you want to do that bad. And if you have passion and focus, but no work ethic, I mean, like, it kind of speaks for itself. Like, you're probably just sitting on your couch thinking you want to do something all day. So, like, that's my number one thing that I tell kids like all the time. It's like focus, hard work, and belief in yourself. That's what will carry you so much further in life than other things will other people.
Man, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. I'm going to take that with me. Even once we hang up, I'm gonna take that with me and try to put it to good use.
Hopefully it fires you up, man. I'm fired up right now. Like,
I
I
know.
almost can't talk.
Somebody better check your blood pressure. Man, I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Taking the time out. I'm glad we finally got to set it up.
Yeah.
You said you were helping your brother move a couple weeks ago, and then I just moved. Like I literally just got settled in. I just got internet last week. So
Okay, yeah.
yeah. So I'm
Well,
getting
hope it was
settled.
a smooth move for you.
I wouldn't call it smooth. I never want to do it again. I mean, I know that this is gonna be my like forever home, hopefully. But we'll see.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I appreciate you coming on and taking the time out. We're recording this right now. It's 12:30 my time, 9:30 your time. But I'm glad.
Yeah, you're a
I'm
trooper,
glad we
bro.
I'm glad we finally got to do it.
Absolutely. Likewise, bro. Likewise.
Yeah, I mean, to get some good guests for a podcast, it requires sacrifice. So I'll sacrifice a little bit of sleep for you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
But man, RJ, I do appreciate it, and thanks for coming on the Section 111 podcast, and I wish you the best. I hope everything works out for you, and I'll be following you and keeping up with your story.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And that was RJ Stern from Netflix's Last Chance U. I'd like to thank RJ for coming on the podcast and just sharing some insight on his background and the struggles of JUCO football and just all of it. It's greatly appreciated, and I appreciate you guys for tuning into this episode. And in this episode, I hope that you guys learned something. I hope that you gained some new perspective, and most importantly, I hope you all were entertained. But thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Section 111 podcast.